Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Bill, and today I'm going to be going over some of the calls that came into the Discord today. So, to start it off, our first scan was at 827. We had a short fair value gap. So if we want to look, okay, so it came in at 827, so you have to think that it actually was using the last three candles before this. So it was using these three candles. So that's just so you know, that's the fair value gap that it's talking about. Is basically like 2 minutes before um, is where you'd build it. But this is the fair value gap it's talking about. It's a short play um, that got pinged at 827. Which is after this candle close, right? After 26 candle close is when it pings. So this is what it's talking about. This actually turned out to be the best play of the day, right? Because if we zoom out, hindsight, this was the lowest point of the day. So we actually did get that call. Unfortunately, today I actually didn't trade that good. So I actually hit my daily loss limit. But there was a lot of good trades where, had I just executed slightly differently or, did other things that probably could have been profitable today, or I should have been, I guess. Um, but digging into this, this play actually goes against my rules if I was to play this. So when I see a fair value gap that's like this, I typically want to see it come down, come back up, test this middle point of the fair value gap, and then continue down, right? It's when we get this close above the fair value gap, if I zoom in, it's this close here that kind of mimics or is giving the indicator that we are going to be, that it should be an inverse fair value gap, right? So on this candle is really actually my long signal. And that's what I did this morning. And then, of course, it turns around and comes back right through, which invalidates everything. The inverse fair value gap and everything, it basically just invalidates it all. So, um, meaning that you just should exit your trade. But this is the trade here. It's kind of tough to say whether or not I should have been in it. I mean, it's tough. It sucks that I wasn't, but I was following my rules at the time, which is a break of this fair value gap uh, it's invalidated. Therefore, we use it as an inverse fair value gap. So we should have gone long. Um, but unfortunately, that wasn't the play. Today was kind of like that, where a lot of the times these fair value gaps were getting invalidated, but it was still we were still getting that move to the expected side, which right is this short fair value gap. So this one would have been a great trade had you just held it, or maybe you put your stop above here and you just let it play out. Since this high is so close, maybe that's something that we can add to our toolbox eventually. But for now, I think I'm going to keep the same strategy where a break of this fair value gap is going to be inverted, even though it didn't work out in this scenario and I took a loss. Okay, so that was the first fair value gap. Let's go to the next. So the next one came in at 832. So 832, so that means it was this fair value gap right here. And this fair value gap is this is the fair value gap that I actually did trade, and I made a profit off of it. I made some of the profits back from this loss. So this one is a perfect example, right? We get the fair value gap, we get the run back into it. The body's closed below this halfway point, which is a very good indicator that this fair value gap is going to be, or it's going, I guess, in the direction that you want it to be, right? It's not necessarily a good trade that, at the time, but you know that the market is working with you, is I guess the way that you could see it. We wake up into this upper quadrant, but it's fine. And then we do kind of slowly kind of tumble our way. And I believe one of my price targets was this low, right? So just taking out a local low. But then it continued to run, and I'm pretty sure I had a runner that went pretty decent. But anyways, this was a pretty straight up trade, and this is like the best example for like most of the fair value gaps that this is like what the prime setup that you should be looking for is what I'm trying to get to. All right, so the next one came in at 8:33, which is like a minute later. Um, okay, so 8:32. Okay, so actually this is actually the third call. I actually skipped it. This big fair value gap was a call as well. Um, but the market never got up to it, so it was never really in use, I guess, as this fair value gap occurred after that ping happened. So if that ever happens, we get multiple fair value gaps. It's worth keeping an eye on, but you just kind of need to watch the market and see where price is hanging out. And in this case, it was hanging out in here. There is a world where it could have kept going up. I see how it's changing. There's a world where it goes up and just takes out this high, um, or goes into this fair value gap. So, it's just something that you have to be aware of, and that could happen. And it actually does happen later today, which we'll get into. Let's look at the next fair value gap. We had a short at 846. Let's see where that is. So 46. That's this fair value gap here. So, yeah, for this one, so this one kind of came after the short one, which is kind of more just confirmation of where we're going. I think in the end, this one just kind of got overshadowed, right? We got a push down. We ended up trading back into it, inversed it, and then it kind of just went through. So this is kind of one of those fair value gaps where it wasn't really the best one to use, really. And if you did use it, it probably ended up in a loss. Though I guess you do kind of use it here, but there's other fair value gaps that occur that kind of play this out. But yeah, this probably wasn't the best fair value gap alert, but it's never perfect, and it's just something that we need to keep an eye on when we're looking at the markets. 853, we have that long, so I'm going to bring this back. So 853 was this one. Let's put this in to here. Perfect. So this fair value gap, this one was a good one. I actually think I ended up taking a long off this. Oh no, actually I didn't. I wanted to, but I didn't get filled, right? Because we didn't get a break back into this fair value gap. Right here. I should just make this, yeah, that's a good idea. It didn't break this low here. This candle specifically, or any of these, so I didn't end up getting filled, but this would have been a pretty good fill had we gotten, let's say, a fair value gap and it comes back down here. Maybe let's say we have a wick like that, and then we get filled here and run it up to this fair value gap, or just this kind of local highs is where I would be targeting. But didn't get filled. But that doesn't mean it's nothing. We can use it as an inverse fair value gap, which if we're watching the market, we ended up actually doing that here. So if you would have had this on your chart, you could have used this as an inverse fair value gap and caught this. I gotta put this on here too. You could have caught this trade, but I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. So this was just one to keep an eye on. Okay, 58 was the short one, so that's this big one right here. Pings at 58, right? So this was this. So this one is also another prime candidate for a great fair value gap. We get the push. I mean, ironically, we get a lot of things come together. So this would have been it should have been a really easy play. For me, I missed it somehow. I actually don't even know if I was looking at the charts at the time, but I might have just been on my phone, honestly. But anyways, we still have this fair value gap from this morning. Comes up, we touch this fair value gap and instantly sell off big. This creates a fair value gap, and then look, we just slowly kind of accumulate. We don't go over above half. We just do this, and then this would have been a great entry is at this 50% mark, and then we just sell off basically right away. Um, and let's say like, well, I guess a tip is when you see the market kind of doing this, odds are it's probably going to go the opposite way in which it's kind of consolidating. Um, or, I guess that's hard to say because it does sometimes do the complete opposite, of course. Um, but when it's chopping around like this, there's a good chance that eventually it's going to find something and then it's going to move. Um, and this was a good example of that occurring. Usually after some chop, the first fair value gap is usually pretty important, and that's like this one right here. But this one didn't ping from the bot at all, but um, it's just something to keep an eye on. So, anyways, we consolidate up in here, and then if you missed this entry, you actually still have a good entry with this inverse fair value gap right here, which we got from the long. Right, so then this would be your entry right here as we break out, and then we go short. So that's that would have been the plays there. So this would have been a really great play. That would have went for. So you got the good entry at 38. 38 down to 13. What is that? 25. 25 points. That's really good. Really freaking good. And yeah, so that was the majority of the fair value gaps that occurred. We did have some like later in the day, but I'm gonna make this video short and just kind of show you guys the the opening. This was in the first 30 minutes. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 fair value gaps being called, and besides this one, I would say all of them were actually pretty nice, except also this one maybe got invalidated, so you might have gotten a loss. But besides this one, all of them were actually used and were useful. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in checking out the Discord and getting more scanner alerts, as you can see, a bunch of them went off today. Most of them were pretty good. There was a decent amount that just didn't really matter. They came out during chop and stuff like that, but yeah, if you guys are interested in joining, make sure to check the link below and join up for free. The alerts are all free right now, so join now because they probably won't be free forever. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you later. Peace.